Jess. Thanks for that update. Sorry. Thanks for that update. And on the BIA, I know that when Jess says that I'm working tirelessly, I don't even know what word to put on how hard she's working. So we appreciate her and the staff for all that they do for us, for our organization, for the construction industry to keep us going. I think it's crazy that we're here. It's holiday season already. Can you believe that? And we're still doing the mask thing. We're still doing the COVID. I think we all thought that we would, have a little bit of time and be through it. So thanks for sticking with us and pushing through. It's really important to us as an organization and us as an industry, as we kind of led the charge. I feel like we led the charge in the pandemic, and we were able to stay open. And I think it's continually important for us to lead the charge and stay safe, all the while looking for opportunities to get back together and mix and mingle and share of that relationship side of our business. I will share that the Education Committee had their first and last meeting of the year in person. So that happened just the other day. We got together. There was about 7 or 8 of us. We each had our own table, our own 6-foot table, and we were able to speak together and talk and have a little lunch and see each other face to face. It was nice to be in that environment again. So I do want to share a few things about the industry and kind of recap for 2021. As you guys know, we've had huge, steady growth in our industry and the housing market. It still continues to grow. Crazy lumber prices, cost of materials skyrocketing, lead time is crazy depending on what items you're trying to get. I know we could probably fill an hour talking about appliances and getting those in and everything. So labor shortages we're all dealing with, the supply chain. For those of you who tuned into the PBX that we just had, we really talked about the supply chain as a global issue, right? Not just a state or even United States. It's a global issue that we're dealing with that. Regulatory costs up at about $94,000 on average, according to the NAHB, to each home, which also being in Hawaii, it's probably even higher for us. So the question is what's the BIA done for me lately? And so a few of those things that we have done is the BIA through our GRC committee. As we talk about some of these committees, I encourage everyone to be involved in those committees and come and share your expertise with us and participate. But the GRC, they reviewed over 3,000 bills and submitted more than 50 testimonies in this past year. We increased our education offerings 67%, including new virtual classes, as well as designations from NAHB and 2 youth build cohorts. Thank you, Barbara, so much for getting that dialed in. We secured an OSHA training grant from the Department of Labor. That's the Susan Harwood training grant. We took our trade show online. That was no easy feat. It required a lot of effort, and hopefully that we can continue to do some of that moving forward as we try to get back in person. We also collaborated with PBX and GCA to bring in National Economists Outlook for 2022. We unified our members through a call to arms. That call to arms came through the board and a lot of us talking about the state of the union of the BIA, where we were at financially, what was going on with the ability to meet and take on some of our shows, which is a large revenue stream for us to keep things going. And so that call to arms came about where we felt like we could call upon our members, upon all of you, to contribute in a way maybe like never before. And that was true. Everyone kind of came and rallied from a sponsorship standpoint with some of the largest sponsorships that we've had, from the widest group maybe that we've ever had as well. So we appreciate everyone for doing that. And it's really allowed us as a board and as the BIA to continue to look forward to more greener pastures and buy ourselves some more time to keep doing what we do. Also, on that note, I want to make sure that we focus on a new partnership that we have. This came from our call to arms. We'd like to send a warm welcome to Kamehameha Schools for sponsoring our national economist, Robert Dietz, who came. We presented the 2022 Industry Economic Outlook in a collaboration with PBX. a few weeks ago, and that presentation is still available online. And we'd like to thank this remarkable member for making today's event possible as well. Kamehameha Schools, we really appreciate the partnership. And a specific mahalo to Calvin Mann. He's also a past director of the BIA and the director of planning and development for Kamehameha Schools Commercial Real Estate Division. Thanks for sharing in our vision and being able to believe and collaborate with us in the industry. Appreciate it, Calvin, a lot. I'd like to turn the time over to BIA's Director Secretary, Hinano, to offer a blessing to this event, and then we'll kind of slide into the nominations and selecting our board before we get to some good stuff later. Hinano, go for it.
All right, thank you, Bo. And mahalo everyone for being here today. I'm honored to be here to be able to offer a pule and be able to bless this GMM and presentation. So if you'd like to join me at this time, if you'd bow your heads. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this day and for your gathering of your people here, Lord. I just ask a special blessing upon each and every person and business that is being presented today, that you would bless them with new opportunities and provisions. I pray over the message being presented that it will provide value to each member and guidance here today as well. Help us to remain positive during these trying times and to see the opportunities and everything that is to come, but most of all, to be supportive of one another with a spirit of excellence. Please keep everyone safe, healthy, bless our families, our homes, our businesses, and communities. In Jesus' name, I humbly ask and pray. Amen.
Amen.
Mahalo.
Thank you, Hinano. That was great. Okay, BIA members, we're going to put the agenda up here on the screen so that everyone can see that. We have some association business that we need to take care of at today's general membership meeting. Hinano, will you please take minutes for this meeting so that we can have those for our bylaws? Thank you. And I'd like to call this 2021 annual general membership meeting to order at 12:52. And this is where I hit the gavel right now. Okay, the election of board of directors and officers is always a solemn and hope-filled occasion. On behalf of the entire membership, I offer gratitude to those who have dedicated time and invaluable support. Every year, it's inevitable that we lose some directors to new adventures and experiences. I'd like to ask all of the BIA Hawaii, its staff and volunteers to spend a moment thinking about the wonderful successes that we've had this year and to the people who contributed to them. In particular, I'd like to identify those who have stepped away in this year and those who will be leaving us all too quickly. We want to show our appreciation for your work. First, Naomi Azama from HMAA, who worked diligently on our membership committee to expand the HMAA BIA partnership and extend the benefit of health insurance to our members and their employees. Mahalo, Naomi, thank you so much. Second, Dwight Mitsunaga, DM Pacific, who's acted as president in 2020 and past president in 2021, who continues to serve on our membership committee, and in countless ways he supports BIA staff and volunteers. Mahalo, Dwight, thanks so much. Dwight's always good to support the LYP, any events that they have. I think that's Dwight's way of still connecting with his youth. So thanks, Dwight. We appreciate you for all that you do. Lastly, Brian Moore from Central Pacific Bank, who showed what a difference a finance committee can make towards the success of an organization. Brian helped to secure over $600,000 in non-operating funds for the association this year and established longevity in the face of a pandemic. He shared the benefit of his advice and mentorship with our CEO, educated the board members on a monthly basis, and kept us all informed of the current state of the association. And he developed a new reporting function to enable us to forecast our cash and liquidity well into the future. Brian initiated thought sharing and roundtables among the directors to develop new programs and creative financing initiatives, and will be leaving us some very big shoes to fill. Brian, thanks so much. I know that that's a scripted setup and you guys can feel me reading that. I do just want to take a little bit of time and just say such a thank you to Brian. That for those of you maybe not on the board of directors, but were in the past or part of the organization, that financial cash flow for this year, we talked about every board meeting at length. And it gave us a sense of concern. And as we worked on things, it gave us a sense of accomplishment and growth and reaching the goals that we set forth to keep the association running and doing well and thriving. So I can't express enough appreciation for that process. And we will continue to use that process moving forward in order to keep us focused on the health of the BIA Hawaii. So Brian, thanks so much. These individuals are visionaries in their respective fields of expertise, and they've brought invaluable support and wisdom to the BIA that will impact us all for years to come. We look forward to the day when these directors will offer their invaluable skills once again. One day soon, we hope. And to the directors and officers who are retiring from their posts, BIA Hawaii extends our sincerest gratitude, warmest congratulations, and assurances of continued cooperation and dedication for a successful association. We aim to make you proud. Okay. I would also like to take this time to thank the nominations committee who organized nominees for the 2022 BIA Hawaii Board of Directors. Upon recommendation by the nominations committee, it's my honor to present to you the 2022 slate of directors and officers for election by majority vote. I do want to pause here too to interject a little bit. The nominations committee is organized and set aside from the board of directors and elected to help continue the board and the growth of the BIA. And so it's interesting that as we make the nominations committee, a lot of, as we talk about these new board members that are coming on and past board members, one might ask, how does one get on the board? And having sat in numerous of those nomination committees meetings now, the understanding is that those who come to our events and participate show some excitement about our industry, show some desire to participate and contribute. Those are often ones that stand out in the crowd. And so if you're thinking about wanting to be on the board in the future or at different times, I would say get involved, get on a committee, begin to contribute, show up at the events when we can have the events, jump onto our GMMs when we have them virtually. All of those things make a difference because it's those who show an aptitude for growth and desire to want things to be better for our industry, for our association, and want to contribute. Those are ones that we tend to lean towards. So we appreciate all who have done that in the past and all that will continue to do that in the future. So that's my plug for getting more involved. Okay, so keep this in mind. Based on our bylaws, in accordance with section 5.2 of our association bylaws, each voting member in good standing is entitled to one vote. So you'll have an opportunity to vote here later. In accordance with section 602 of our association bylaws, the board of directors will consist of at least three members, but not more than 20 members. All directors must be members. A majority must be builder members, and at least one of the directors must be an associate member. And in accordance with section 11.2 of our association bylaws, additional nominations may be made from the floor. As this meeting is virtual, please enter names into the chat box for additional floor nominations. For director positions, while I recite, enter the names into the chat for additional floor nominations for director positions, while I recite to you the list of nominees and their respective directorships. The slate of 20 nominations for the 2022 Board of Directors are as follows. Nominees for directorships with a 2-year term. Max Lindsay from Mark Development, Ryan Gross, DR Horton, Gavin Ishikawa, Hawaii Building Group, Mark Rinker, Gentry Homes, Kaloa Robinson, Stanford Car Development, John Rapazora from Coastal Construction, Paul Silen, Hawaiian Dredging, Daryl Takamiya, Castle and Cook Homes. Associate Directors, Darcy Endomoto, Hawaiian Electric Companies, Calvin Mann, Kamehameha Schools, Sarah Love, Bays, Lung, Rose, and Boss, and Hinano Nahinu, Pacific Source. Continuing directors whose term will end December 31st of 2022, John Moore, Howard Hughes Corporation, Jordy Mackay, Ridgeway Construction, Lily Shintani, Alan Shintani Inc., Mark Putman, Armstrong Builders, Chris Bennett, Riggs Distributing, and our associate directors continuing on through December 31st of 2022, Kamuela Potter, Inspired Closets Hawaii, and Peter Eldridge, Raynor Hawaii Overhead Doors, and Bo Knobman, HPM Building Supply. The following are our members appointed officers to the corporation 2022 Executive Committee. Do we have that up, Jess? Perfect. President, Daryl Takayimi, Castle and Cook. President-elect, Sarah Love, Bays, Lung, and Rose, and Boss. Vice President, Hinano Nahinu, Pacific Source. And Secretary, Gavin Ishikawa, Hawaii Building Group. Treasurer, Paul Silen, Hawaiian Dredging. Special Appointee Builder, Max Lindsay from Mark Development. Special Appointee Associate, Chris Bennett, Riggs Distributing. And Immediate Past President, Bo Knobman, HPM Building Supply. Quick question, Jess, are we doing the officio members?
I think we can hold on those because those positions are not nominated to NAHB until January 14th, 2022.
Okay, perfect. So the members are nominated. These members are nominated to the 2022 BIA Hawaii Board of Directors. Are there any nominations from the floor?
Mr. President, I do not see any nominations from the floor.
Okay. Hearing no and seeing no nominations from the floor in the chat, in accordance with section 5.3 of our association bylaws. Oh, let me skip that. All in favor of the slate as presented?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Aye.
Aye.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for unmuting. Any nays? Any opposed? Hearing none, the majority of present voters has elected to accept the slate as presented. BIA Hawaii requires a present 2021 director to make a motion to close the nominations.
I, Hinano Nahinu, Director, Secretary, move that nominations be closed and that we accept BIA Hawaii's 2022 Board of Directors slate as presented.
Thank you, Hinano. It's been moved to close the nominations. and accept the slate as presented. Is there a second to that motion?
Bo, it's Craig. I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Craig. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, motion carries. Congratulations to our 2022 directors and officers. Before moving to our guest presentation today, do our members want to discuss any additional business from the floor? Perfect. Hinano, I move that this portion of the general membership meeting be adjourned. We will move forward now with our sponsorships.
Mr. President, we need to adjourn the meeting, so we can have a motion to adjourn.
Peter
Motion to
Eldridge, move for adjourn.
I move that this portion of the general membership meeting be adjourned. Is there
Second.
that motion?
I heard a first and a second.
First and a second. Motion carries. This portion of the general membership meeting is adjourned at 1:06 p.m.
Great, thank you, Bo.
Thank you. Thank you all for giving us your time, so much of your time. Now we'd like to share a short video entitled Legacy of a Princess from our corporate partner, Kamehameha Schools. And then we will turn some time over to Calvin Mann.
Jess, we don't have sound on our end.
Are we missing sound?
Yes.
Yeah, no sound.
Yeah.
No
Jess,
sound.
I don't think it shares sound. I think you have to just play it audibly, I guess is another way of saying it. You might have to,
I'm so sorry.
one of the quirks of Zoom does not share sound well.
Just try unmuting yourself while you play it. Yeah, I still can't hear it.
Hold, please. Technical difficulties.
The innovative spirit of her people. As the Hawaiian population declined, she saw the loss of Hawaiian language, culture, and traditions. But Hawaii had a vision. She believed that education was the key to her people's survival. Hawaii wisely put all her land into a trust to benefit the children of Hawaii, for whom she cared so much. In 1884, at the age of 52, the princess sadly passed away. Although she never had children of her own, her compassionate gift of Aina would nurture generations to come.
In 1887, Pauahi's vision became a reality with the founding of the Kamehameha School for Boys. 37 boys filled the halls of what is now Bishop Museum. But the work was just beginning. In 1894, the Kamehameha School for Girls opened nearby. Over the years, the school continued to evolve and wonderful traditions began. In 1931, the 600-acre Kapalama campus was established. But the need to educate more Native Hawaiian children continued to grow. To expand the reach of Pauahi's gift, a campus was built on Maui in 1996, followed by a campus on Hawaii Island in 2001. From humble beginnings, Kamehameha Schools has grown to support a statewide education system serving tens of thousands of learners every year.
With dozens of preschool sites and 3 K-12 campuses, Kamehameha Schools is one of the largest independent school systems in the United States. Grounded in Native Hawaiian and Christian values, students learn how to find strength in where they came from, to help inspire where they're going. To support even more Native Hawaiian students, Kamehameha Schools reaches beyond its campuses to engage new learners. Working alongside community organizations that provide Hawaiian culture-based educational programs, building innovative collaborations with other educational institutions, offering scholarships for early education, college, and graduate school, all to open doors for more haumana.
The foundation of Keali'i Pauahi's gift is Aina. As Hawaii's largest private landowner, responsible for the stewardship of nearly 365,000 acres, Kamehameha Schools believes that Aina is at the heart of Native Hawaiian identity and well-being. Natural resources, agriculture, and commercial activities are just a part of Kamehameha Schools' diverse portfolio. Aina Pauahi also provides Keiki with important cultural and educational opportunities outside the classroom. The smart and responsible management of Pauahi's endowment will continue to provide educational opportunities for generations of ohana to come.
Hanai ke keiki, ola ka lahui. Nurture the child, and the lahui thrives. Kamehameha Schools is dedicated to this calling. Deeply rooted in Hawaiian culture and Christian values, Kamehameha Schools is using an innovative balance of technology, project-based learning, and Hawaiian culture-based education to empower our students for a future full of possibilities. From preschool to graduation to thriving careers beyond, Kamehameha Schools is strengthening the legacy of our people while encouraging us to explore beyond the horizon, developing Oiwi leaders who make a difference in our communities and the world.
There once was a princess who lived in a magnificent kingdom. She gave a precious gift to her people. But that wasn't the end of the story. It was only the beginning.
Hey, Calvin, we can't hear you, my friend.
There we go.
There.
Sorry, something just popped up concurrently. Well, mahalo, everyone. We at Commitment Schools, we always like to start with paying homage and honoring our founder, Bernice Hawaii Bishop, and mahaloing her. And it always starts with focusing and centering on our children. Hana ike keiki o la kalahui, nurture the child and the community thrives. Commitment Schools is dedicated to this calling, and through our actions and decisions, Commitment Schools can provide educational opportunities for generations to come. Aloha kako o Calvin Mann, ko no. I'm a past volunteer director of BIA, and here today on behalf of Commitment Schools. I am one of the director of planning and development at Commitment Schools Commercial Real Estate Division. We are a proud sponsor of this BIA general membership meeting. As many of our lahui, our community, are members, employed, educated, or even have received the benefit of home ownership through the building industry. So mahalo. Today, today's presentation is focused on new OSHA recommendations and guidelines for our industry and vaccination policies and best practices in the tailwinds of the COVID-19 pandemic. Altris has also developed a free software that many of you may be interested in. So should you have any questions during the presentation, please enter them in the Q&A box, and our guest speakers will try to answer as many of your questions as possible. So let me introduce our speakers for today. Our first speaker is John Ferguson. If you can advance to the next slide, I believe. Thank you. Our first guest speaker is John Ferguson, who is the Director of Business Development at Simplicity HR by Altris, and has been a successful HR consultant in the state of Hawaii, as well as the nation for 13 years. His success can be attributed to his desire to help companies decrease their back office employment administration so they can streamline, focus, and grow. He currently serves as the president on the board of directors for the Honolulu Executive Association, is on the executive council for the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick. Our second guest speaker is Joshua Laguana. He is a senior sales engineer at Simplicity HR by Altris, where he's been helping local companies simplify the burden of payroll and HR administration through Altris HR technology, HR Symphony. In addition to being an HR Symphony champion, Joshua believes in giving back to the community through his work with Rotary Clubs of Central Oahu and Hickam Pearl Harbor. So at this time, I'd like to turn over the floor to John and Joshua to present to you today.
Calvin, thank you very much for the warm introductions there. Again, I'm John Ferguson, the Director of Business Development, and Joshua Laguana is with me as well. So what I'd like to do is just start out with a little background of Altris. I see a lot of familiar faces on here, and a lot of people know that we are a local company and we started back in 1969. A lot of people may know us as a staffing company, but we actually pioneered the PEO industry in Hawaii and even nationally. We are Hawaii's largest private HR organization in the state. We have over 300 plus employees in 7 offices. And we were also named the #1 PEO in America by Pro Employee Journal in 2001. And most recently in 2020, we were ranked top 10 PEOs in the nation. So we're very proud of that. I do have my next slide, which tells you a little bit about what a PEO is. And I would really read this out, but in the essence of time, I won't, because I've been in this industry for over 14 years and I still don't understand exactly the terminology that they use in this definition. So I'll give you a simpler answer. A PEO really is just essentially an HR department for employers of all sizes. What we focus on with organizations that we partner with is human resources support. A lot of companies throughout this pandemic have realized that there's a lot of new acts, new labor laws that are coming around each day, and they're ever changing. And that's how we support our clientele, is through that. Through group workers' compensation, temporary disability insurance, employee benefits, payroll administration, technology, safety and risk management, and also training and educational services too. Because when you partner with a PEO, it's a form of co-employment. And a lot of people think, oh, hey, am I leasing my employees to someone? It's not necessarily how it works. How it works is that the companies that we partner with have 100% direction and control over who they hire, who they fire, what hours the employees work, what the job responsibilities are. But on the paper side of it, we become the employer of record. So that's pretty much how the PEO works. And then most companies use this again because they want to be compliant with employment taxes. They want to gain immediate HR expertise. They want to focus on their core business. And again, Joshua is going to go over the OSHA Emergency Temporary Standard, the ETS. We do understand that it is on hold at this moment, but we believe the information that we're going to provide to you is excellent and that it's just for your knowledge for down the road. Thank you. Go ahead, Joshua.
Thank you, John. So yes, as John mentioned, OSHA recently released an emergency temporary standard, and that was back on November 4th. An emergency temporary standard establishes requirements to protect unvaccinated employees of large employers from the risk of contracting COVID-19 in the workplace. And this really, for affected employers, they're required to develop, implement, and enforce mandatory COVID-19 vaccination policies. Otherwise, there's an exception where they can get vaccinated or be vaccinated or undergo weekly COVID tests. Now, I did say that was in November 4th. On November 6th, just a couple days later, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit issued a temporary halt that OSHA takes no steps to implement or enforce the ETS. And then a week later, on November 12th, that same court affirmed its decision. So what does that mean? Well, just this week, OSHA announced that they will suspend activities related to implementing and enforcing the ETS, all dependent on future litigation. So what does that mean for you? Well, employers are just encouraged to keep a close eye on what's happening with this specifically. I want to give you guys just some highlights about the ETS that came out on November 4th. The ETS only affects private employers with 100 or more employees. That's a total, not per location. In states where there's an OSHA-approved state plan, local government employers as well as private employers will be covered under that state plan. People that are not, or employers that are not affected by this OSHA ETS is the workplaces that are covered under the Safer Federal Workforce Task Force COVID-19 Workplace Safety. So those are if you have any federal contractors or subcontractors, you are covered under a different regulation. And then those that are in healthcare services or healthcare support services, they're covered under the healthcare ETS, which is not affected by this OSHA one. Workplaces of employers who have fewer than 100 employees, again, not affected, and any public employers in states without a state plan. So if an employer is affected, do all its employees have to follow the ETS provisions? The answer is no. It's simple. The ETS requirements that you don't have to apply is if the employee works in a workplace where there's no individuals that are present, or if they're working from home, or if they work exclusively outdoors. And I'm going to throw up some of the things or the requirements that employers are supposed to do. I'm not going to go over it all, but employers are supposed to develop, implement, and enforce a mandatory vaccination policy or do the exception with weekly COVID testing. It's important to understand this because these are the things that could potentially come out. Some of the things that we're going to point out in here, we as a company at Ultras decided to put this into our technology, which I will share at the end. So employers need to determine employees' vaccination status, as well as obtain proof of vaccination, and they need to maintain those records. They'll also be, under this ETS, provide employees with reasonable time, up to 4 hours of PTO or paid time off. They'll also have to ensure that employees who are not fully vaccinated do get tested weekly for COVID-19. And require any employees who promptly provide notice that they received a positive test or diagnosed with COVID are reported, as well as immediately removed from the work site. Which is also important because as the employer, you're going to want to make sure that you're tracking when the employee is on a self-quarantine. And ensure employees who are not fully vaccinated wearing a face covering when indoors or when occupying a vehicle with another person who for work purposes. and provide each employee with information in a language and at a literacy level the employee understands about the ETS, the workplace policies, and the procedures. So the last thing is making sure that these records are available for examination if OSHA ever comes to audit, as well as if an employee does ask, they'll be able to see this information. As I had mentioned, all of this ETS, there are things that employers are required to maintain or do. A lot of employers are going to do this on the side, create their own issues. Or I'm sorry, create their own processes. What we did at Ultras is create a technology called HR Symphony so that it will be able to track some of these COVID practices. We also created a separate technology called Wellness Tracker that is free to use, that's for employees or for clients. And I'll talk a little bit more about that now. So the first part is going to be HR Symphony. It's a human resource information system that was designed, developed right here in Hawaii for Hawaii employers. It covers the entire HR life cycle and payroll life cycle of an employee. We like to call it an entire HR ecosystem, from payroll to scheduling to online recruiting. That's all done within HR Symphony. Some of the features that we recently added for the COVID-19 is to be able to communicate your COVID-19 policies and track that acknowledgement with your employees. You can even track employee vaccination and exemption status. You'll be able to track COVID test results and how when they were last tested, as well as track self-quarantine periods. So if someone does get a positive test result, you'll be able to know when they'll be able to return safely back. And then easily report the aggregate number of vaccinated employees. That's one other feature that we put in that we developed last year is a employee health screening. So one of the important things is ensuring that employees are healthy when they come into the office. So HR Symphony actively sends a text message to employees on the days that they work, just asking if how they're feeling, and to as well as include if they're vaccinated, or if they have a negative COVID test result. One of the benefits to being able to do those health screening is that in the event that there is a breakout, you're going to be able to contact trace on who was working on that shift. HR Symphony are for clients of Simplicity HR by Ultras. So any client that partners with us is going to have access to HR Symphony, all of these COVID-19 features, along with payroll, recruiting, employee, human capital management. For those that are not using HR Symphony or partnering with us, we developed this technology called, or platform called Wellness Tracker. It's a free self-screening software to help safeguard businesses from COVID-19. It does an active screening of your employees. So same thing by sending a text message out to your employees, asking them how they're doing. It also allows them to upload their vaccination cards or their negative COVID test. On top of that, some of the responses that we did is added a QR code so that you don't have to be employees. It could be for your customers or your people that are coming into your location. They'll be able to do a self-screening. But we also added some features in Wellness Tracker to help with the ETS. Some of the COVID-19 features include electronically communicating your policy with your employees. So you don't have to use a PDF and have them sign, or have printed out and have them sign it. You can communicate that directly through Wellness Tracker. You'll be able to track vaccination status of your employees, as well as collect those negative COVID-19 test results. And again, this is not only for employees, but it's also for your customers and any other type of vendors that come on property. And of course, it does have contact tracing. Wellness Tracker is a free platform, and the website is wellnesstracker.com. Any organization can use it for their employees, for their customers, or just for their organization. So on behalf of John Ferguson and myself, thank you very much for allowing us to share. If you guys have any questions, please, we'll put that inside the questions and we'll get to them as soon as possible.
Josh, we do have one question in the chat. So how do you track the hours of someone who works on a federal project? Is it done manually, or is there software to track the hours? For every 30 hours worked, people could work on numerous projects?
It's a great question. So part of HR Symphony's platform is time and attendance, which is directly integrated with our payroll system. So when an employee is going to go work on a specific federal contract or state contract, they're actually logging in and clocking in and out to those programs, and you'll be able to do your job costing associated to that. Any other questions? Right. Well, thank you very much.
About
yes.
the wellness tracker. So you said that that's useful and accessible by anyone, right? So we can go on to wellnesstracker.com. But
Correct.
How long is the content held in that for contact tracing purposes, or if we want to save that information long term, if we were required to have it in a year or 2 years or whatnot? Is there downloadable files, or is it just saved up there?
That's a very good question. So our practice is not to delete any data. We've been in business for 53 years or 52 years. HR Symphony has been around for the last 15 years. Wellness Tracker just came out and we're going to follow suit. We will not delete the data. I'm on the website right now. So once you have your account, it will be there. Once you do inactivate your account or delete your account, it will only be accessible to in our servers, but we don't access it. So if you ever need to go back, just let us know.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? It's very simple to sign up. Go to wellnesstracker.com and then click on Get Started. And that's it.
Okay, any other questions from the floor? Okay, well, it's 1:32, so I know we want to wrap up at 1:30. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Thanks to Altrez, both John and Josh, for being here and sharing such valuable information. I'm especially interested in the wellnesstracker.com for our events, because it also sounds like there isn't a cap on how many people you can save this information for and file up there. So that's pretty exciting. And it's free, that's even better. So anyway, I'd like to share my sincerest gratitude for the time donated to BIA from our volunteer members. Everyone who participated as directors this year, sponsors, attended our virtual events, just thank you so very, very much. I know you've all worked really hard also to develop new programs for us, such as our education. I can't even believe it, but expanding 67%, I think it was, Bo reported, our course catalog has grown. So that's fantastic. You've spent countless hours with us. So, and also while running your own businesses and executive teams. So thank you so much. I'm very grateful for you. I'm also optimistic for the year to come and excited for the installation of officers in 2022. We are scheduled to have that event in person on December 10th. We are working with the golf course and the restaurant there to try to organize this event, although that is just a few weeks out, so I can't make any promises here. But I do want to share that information with you, and just keep your eyes peeled for email communication from us and our team, making sure that you are receiving the invitation for that event when we do hold it. Mahalo again to our general membership meeting sponsor, Kamehameha Schools and Calvin Mann. We saw an incredible amount of support pour onto us from our members this year. And I'd also like to thank these corporate sponsors. And let me see, I have this slide I would love to show you. The industry elite, Castle and Cook Homes and Armstrong Builders. These are two corporate sponsors who signed up with us this year for a 5-year commitment of supporting BIA Hawaii. So thank you very, very much for that. Our platinum sponsors, Hawaiian Electric and Atlas Construction. Gold sponsors, Riggs Distributing and Stanford Car Development, along with RMA Sales. Thank you. Silver sponsors, Bays, Lung, Rose, Voss, and Gentry Homes. and our education sponsor, Homeworks Construction. And I can't say that I saw Marshall on the call today, but I do want to just send a quick thank you because he also volunteers through our HMAA partnership. And more on that to come in the following year. That's an insurance program for our members. To all of our sponsors and members, we're thankful to have your support and we appreciate your commitment to the building industry. I look forward to seeing our partnerships thrive in the coming year. I have a little fun fact slide, and as soon as I click on this, it's going to play some music. I think you'll all hear that. Thank you, Josh, for helping me with the sound system today. I think you're still on the call. That's very, very appreciated. And I'm going to change the slide. Mahalo, mahalo.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you.